everyone. This is Rachel Kirkland here. I always do this kind of wave. I don't know why I do that. It just comes up. It's like I want to wave at you guys even though you're not here. Or I want to hug. It's my version of like hugging and saying, hi crew, I'm glad everyone's here with me again. But then I'm aware, like it feels almost like a parade route, you know what I mean? Anyhow, sorry, I'm being goofy. Hi, that's what I'm trying to say. Hello, welcome. This is my little welcome time in the video where I say thanks for being here, and I'm glad that you're with me. Really, it's just a share of energy, and it's been on my heart for a long time to do these videos. I have been making weekly videos now for years. I don't know how many years, but if you went back and you looked at the progression of my videos in my office and various spaces, all sorts of things. So I've had a lot of time with you all, and y'all my peeps. Some of you have been here with me from the beginning. I have so much love and adoration for you and appreciation for you. And y'all know this is a labor of love. So all that being said, go free content for the evolution of the soul. That's what we're about. Okay, if you're new to me and I'm giving all this, you know, glab and gib and you have no idea who I am, I don't want to forget you either. Please just go to my website. That really is the hub of all information in terms of my business, why I do these videos, kind of the purpose of helping you all on your evolutionary journey and spiritual path, specifically in your connections to the non-physical realm. So psychic training is available there online, and I said this last week, but there is literally no better time than when you're in quarantine, stuck in front of a computer pretty much 24/7, or a TV that you can slingshot up to your computer to learn via online training. And I finished my online platform. This is how Spirit works, but Spirit was like, you got to finish this platform by the end of the year. So I finished my platform at the very end of last year of 2019, and then uploaded it and had my launch at the very beginning of the year, right before all the corona craze happened. So it just came available that all of my teaching and curriculum that I have been traveling the world and teaching for many years is now available online through like the video downloadable modules, and the curriculum is there to download in terms of PDFs. The whole masterclass is there if you are ready to like super dive in deep and really get a grasp on your abilities, confidence in your skills and techniques, and really honing your craft. All that's on there, and I'm, for the sake of sounding pitchy, I believe in it. I truly do believe in it. And if you don't learn from me, learn from somebody. Learn from someone that you feel that you truly resonate with their message, with their heart for why they're doing what they're doing, whether it be teaching you how to heal others, that they truly have a desire to heal, that it's not just, you know, philosophical, but that it's material, heartfelt, sincere. So all that being said, go to the website, themodernshaman.net, find out in whatever way you resonate on any of those pages, whether it's personal sessions. Also, I'm still available for personal sessions, one-on-one, via phone or Skype. I'm still doing those during this time. So all that's on themodernshaman.net. All right, I've said my piece. Let's read the question for the week. It says, here we go. I hope you answer my question. I'm answering it. I'm answering your question. I have taken some of your online courses. That's awesome. Just talking about that. I have taken some of your online courses and have grown so much in my psychic and healing abilities. My question is about what to do when I'm cutting cords to people, but they still seem to come back. Am I doing something wrong? Awesome. So this is a little bit more technical question, but at the same time, super relevant for those of us. So if you're unfamiliar, let me first define that terminology. In the psychic realm, we talk about having psychic surgery or etheric attachments. So these are attachments in the auric field, and sometimes they personify as cords when they are links between two individuals. Sometimes it's not just people, it can be a link to an event. So every time you are thinking thoughts, you are essentially creating a sense of energy. If there's an emotional component to it, there's a momentum, and the momentum sends an energetic kind of wave, like a frequency, out of the body to the event, the person, whatever it is that you're thinking about. And this can be a symbiotic experience, meaning you can feed another if it's a positive cord that has life-sustaining sense, like an umbilical cord. They're feeding you, you're feeding them, you're inspired by them, they're inspired by you. These are really positive relationships, and these cords can be absolutely helpful. However, there can oftentimes be cords that are very debilitating. Okay, cords that drain our energy, like vampires, or where we feel just exhausted by the thought of certain people, certain events, traumatic events in our past, history that we are ashamed of in our life. Things like this can be very draining energetic cords. And so in that online teaching platform, there's one module in particular on psychic surgery, cord cutting, and learning how to get rid of and expel energetic attachments. And auric field attachments. So this question kind of comes from that. But so this is a honing of that skill. And you can cut your own cords. You can have this as part of your energetic hygiene, which I highly suggest. I do this myself, and always kind of check in with myself, just like we go to what in the United States is called a well person checkup. It's like there's nothing wrong with me, but I just want to check up, kind of make sure that everything's in alignment, or we go to the chiropractor just to kind of keep ourselves in balance every 6 weeks or 6 months or a year, whatever it is for your body, that if you're in high level stress or if you've had a lot of PTSD from past experiences, it's important to have a routine that feels like you are keeping yourself in alignment and you're honoring that part of your body, mind, and spirit, and recognizing when you feel out of alignment or when you feel like your energy is being drained. That's a telltale sign of a cord, is that you just feel completely lethargic, unmotivated, drained. You feel like you've got a dark cloud hanging over you all the time. And you feel like no matter how much momentum you're trying to create in your life, it's like the traction is just backwards, or you can't get rid of that thought of that person. You can't get rid of the thought and the memory of that event or that trauma, whatever it may be. Those are telltale signs that those are dysfunctional cords that are not enabling you to move forward or to grow on your path. So they need to be looked at and assessed for cutting. So first thing I want to say is that it doesn't mean that you're doing something wrong if people are coming back with a cord. When I teach this, and we talk about this in the module, but I'm going to highlight it here because it is that important. I always teach that it is important to get a sense of permission from your client or the person that you're working with, even if it's you, to cut the cord. Now, this is twofold in terms of reasoning. One is they energetically line up with the work being done. And so just like a two-part receiver, there are walkie-talkie, there is the sender of the frequency and there is the receiver of the frequency. So it lines them up to receive the energy change. The psychic surgery, they realize, is being done on them, and so they move into an alignment with change. The second part to this is that they vocalize that they are ready to let go of the issue, of the person, of the trauma. And so often people will say, yeah, I'm ready, but they'll be clinging to it with the story of their life, with the story of how bad they're a victim to this person or to this event or this trauma. And so this is what causes a reoccurrence of a cord to be recreated. They can recreate, you can literally cut it one day, they can walk out of your office and begin to recreate that cord with thoughts attached to that person again. So the first part of getting permission is to make sure if they say, yes, I'm ready, and your intuition has a feeling that they are not quite in alignment with the totality of fully letting go, fully starting over, fully getting a new story behind their life, then you must look at kind of the details of what they're holding on to and go into smaller strands of the cord. I'm going to talk about some kind of technique about how to focus on those smaller strands of the cord in just a second. But I want to talk about the main reasons that people cannot ready themselves to cut fully an energetic cord. The main ones that I have seen in my experience of working with people in psychic surgery and emotional change like this, psychological and neurological change, is that they hold on to shame. Shame is the biggest cord connector that I see that rebuilds issues, because it has this weird undulating current to it that kind of comes up in the subconscious, and we almost like feel guilty letting it go. And so shame with the self is when we are unforgiving to ourselves for things that we have been a part of, for our contribution to any of the trauma, for us even being a part of that event and feeling like, why did I manifest this event? And if we're conscious practitioners of the law of attraction and we feel like, I must have attracted this horrible negative relationship, why would I attract such abuse? And we hold shame and unforgiveness for the component of ourselves that was a participant in that event or in that relationship or in that cord, right? Or in the thoughts that weren't successful or weren't able to let go. Instead, they were debilitating us and creating strength in something that was very negative. So shame is the big one, shame for the self and unforgiveness of the self. And the second part of that shame is shame that's directed at others, shame on you, where we play the victim and we have smaller kind of subset cords of resentment and anger towards another. Oftentimes these are not inside towards ourselves, but this is when the shame is directed and projected at another person. And oftentimes we may say, I want to cut the cord because I want to just move on with my life, but I'm still in anger and unforgiveness towards this person or towards whatever event because I was a child and they never should have done that to a child, or whatever the story may be. There is a contraction and a clawing that grasps at the blame or the resentment or the anger towards another. And so we're trying to cut something off here because it's impacting us negatively, and we realize that. But at the same time, we're clawing and grasping at a story that makes us seem like we're a victim and relieves us of the apparent energetic responsibility for that event or for being a part of that event. And that is a way that it kind of begins to, almost like a rubber band, we cut the cord and then it snaps back and slaps us in the face. If you've ever been trying to like pull a rubber band, or you're tying something together with a rubber band or a cord and it snaps and it can ricochet back and snap you. That's just an energetic expression of what can happen when we cut a cord and someone is grasping so tightly onto it. It can kind of ricochet back because they're not fully ready to release like this. When you ask them, are you ready to let go? Are you ready to cut this cord? Are you ready to move on? Are you ready to forgive? And so if you're with a client or with yourself and you're asking these poignant questions and the answer is truthfully, no, I don't think I'm ready. I want to get rid of the negative aspects, but I'm not sure I'm ready to forgive them. I don't feel like that's accessible to me right now. I'm still very angry. That is a very honest and healthy response for cord preparation, for asking that question of permission. And if that's the case, then you would deal with kind of how I was saying. Just in a second, I'll give you details of how to go into the smaller components. You would deal with the cord components instead of the overall cord. So this would be similar to, instead of amputating an entire arm, we're going to go in muscle by muscle, tendon by tendon, and we're going to go into a more delicate type of psychic surgery. So let's talk about how to do that. I'm going to go a little bit more into techniques. Those of you that are practitioners can kind of hone your craft this way and a little bit more specific. So this may not be relevant for all of you, but like I said, you can cut your own cords with a sense of hygiene for yourself and your family with permission. If you don't have that person's sense of permission there, you can always ask the higher self of that person so that you gain a sense of permission from their higher self to make sure it's for their highest good. Okay, so let's go into some techniques. If you are doing a more detailed kind of granular psychic surgery, and you're getting, instead of cutting off the entire cord or amputating that arm, I'm using that expression, instead of cutting that cord all the way across, you're going to need to go in for a more delicate surgery. They're not fully ready to let go, and that doesn't mean that they can't let go. It just means you need to take it step by step. That's the accurate way to respond as a practitioner, instead of being like, well, just forgive them. Just get over it. We're going to cut that cord. That can leave a person, just like an amputee, later on having phantom pains of this cord because it was cut abrasively off without a sense of emotional preparation for the energy work that's required to make that sustain and take hold for the rest of their life. And so oftentimes that can happen with people. So you go in for a more delicate surgery, and you want to look at it like the cord is a braid. And essentially, just like a hair braid, there are energetic braids of the smaller components, the tendons, the muscles that make up that cord connected to that person. And some of those will be emotional ties. So you go into each emotional tie and you say to that person, are you ready to get rid of, say for instance, the blame? Are you able to let go of this emotional cord? So you pull them out one by one, and you're assessing this with your own intuition, and you're dialoguing with your client about any sort of PTSD or emotional trauma or psychological process. What do they think about when they think about that person or that event? What first arises? Do they go to particular memories? Are there visuals there? Then let's look at this particular braid, or this strand of the braid that's connected to the particular event. The smell, the taste of something if it was particularly traumatic and there were a lot of visceral experiences for that person. Are you ready to let go of that? Are you ready to let go of the resentment? Are you ready to let go of the shame that's in yourself? So you pull out each strand and you make sure that they assess a sense of truthful and sincere permission. That means they can tell, yes, I am so tired of dealing with my own shame about this event. I am so tired of remembering the visual of what that looked like, of seeing that memory. I am definitely ready to let go of that. When you can feel their sense of permission, of energy that lines up wholeheartedly with the release, then you can cut a smaller strand of the braid, bit by bit. You cut it, then you seal it, all right? And so sealing it, and I would seal it with fire, cauterizing a wound, right? That seals up and creates a new sense of skin. It also burns out any sense of bacteria or anything that is kind of like residue from the cut, because sometimes there's a sense of little minuscule or tiny little energetic strands and molecules that are kind of connected there. So you burn off with a sense of fire, heat, and alchemical purification afterwards to seal that. And then you move on to the next braid of the strand. Okay, that's if there are smaller components there. Another technique that I will share as you're refining your skills as a practitioner is if there is a knot. So if in your clairvoyance you see a knot, if in your clairsentience you feel a knot, or you feel a calcified kind of area, or if in your symbolic representation it looks like sometimes a lock or a piece of coal or something that's been sitting there for a long time. These can be past life, residual residue where there has been an issue that's been in, say for instance, their ancestry and their lineage, and has been passed down with a sense of belief in a particular, like this will never turn out, this will never work out for you, or something that's been reiterated, and they're ready to get rid of that, but it's been calcified because it's been there for so long. If you see and perceive a knot in the cord, then first you must burn out that knot. Again, this is also using fire, the alchemy of fire, because it changes the chemical component of what is within the cord. So first you would address that knotted area. You would put heat on it. So you would do this through your own vision. If you're clairsentient, you would do this through your material hands, or use of literal fire, a flame, heating up and activating that area. You can do it with your breath, like hot breath, like a fire dragon, breathing on that area. There's various techniques that I talk about in that module, but essentially activating the elemental of fire to pull out and burn away the chemical components of that material, and then bring it back down to the cord. Then from there, you're able to cut the cord fully without that knot being there. A lot of times, knots, again, are strong belief systems that have been there for a long time, or bitterness or anger that's been there for a long time. Like that bitterness has an acidic component to it that also needs to be alchemized through fire, purified, and change the chemical component of it. All right, the final kind of skill refinement that I want to talk about when it comes to cord cutting and some of the issues, if they are coming back and still having the same problem with this cord, is when people come in and they have created a sense of like a tapestry. It's not just a cord, it's not just a braid, it's not just a knot. It's a full-on tapestry. I'm talking like Celtic tapestry where they're telling an entire story from this huge woven cord. And it's like the story of their life is held up in this cord. And some people, this is the truth, they will tell the story of their life based on the trauma that they experienced as a child, or the trauma that they experienced in a relationship or a divorce, or a physical ailment. And that basically will be contributing to the way that they story tell their identity, their purpose for being here in life, the lessons that they've learned. They all come from that cord. So these are really tricky when they are corded through the solar plexus, because this is our center of self and identity, all the way through the front and the back. And you notice that the more you zoom in through your clairvoyance and gain a sense of clarity, it's so many minute strands that are contributing, and there is literal pattern to the braid. There's pattern to the woven aspect of the cord. When you notice pattern, this means that it has been chronic behavior, neurological, emotional response over an extended period of time that is always the same. So it's creating a sense of patterned response. So these are the trickiest to cut, because you have to cut the tapestry all the way down. You have to cut the cord all the way through the story, making sure first, again, that they have full permission, that they are aware that this is going to literally obliterate their identity as they have been explaining it forever, the story they've been telling every person about their life. This is going to create a completely clean slate. You have to cut all the way through every sort of pattern, and then you have to start a new pattern. So you have to begin to create, like a baby, new neurological patterning, new emotional patterning, new physiological patterning in the muscular structure, because you've created essentially the fight or flight response, or the cortisol chemicals in the body. They have created a reaction that it always knows to go to when so-and-so comes up, when whatever that cord was attached to, that event comes up, or that person comes up, or that whatever it may be that comes up, whatever that trigger point was for them, whatever that core point or relationship was for them. They've created a pattern around that neurologically. And so that starts a literal release of particular chemicals that their body is used to. Same with the muscular function. They start to tense up. It creates a literal muscular response, and the body knows this is not good for me, I need to run away, or it has a pattern of how it's been dealt with in the past. Or even the strength of like, I am a survivor. And so the strength that they know only comes from that story, versus the truth of who I am, no matter what it is that's coming to me. And I can still hold on to a sense of my core component of strength without needing to explain that it came from this, or this. This is just who I am. This is just a core component of my identity. And so you're going to need to begin to help them create a new pattern. So what you do in those sessions is, after you've cut it, you begin storytelling from there. What do you notice about your body now when it feels free? What do you notice about the hormones in the body as it's flowing, as you're moving in an energy that feels free of any past and open to the future? So essentially you start validating. I talked a little bit about this in last week's video. So you can go back to that video and watch it when I explained how to respond to pain and loss. But essentially you're going through a reconnection of creating a new pattern for yourself that has stability in its own self, that has freedom of story and stability in its own roots. And so you're going to validate anything that feels positive from here on out, that is not attached to the story. I notice this feels good. I notice this feels good. I notice this feels good. And you're going to have to give them a sense of homework to practice this every morning or every night before they go to bed, right before they go to bed, to validate the positive aspects of their psychological patterns, their emotional patterns, and their physiological patterns, because all of those can be connected when there is a tapestry associated with that cord. I hope that is helpful to you guys. I realize I just put a lot of information out there, but I'm just encouraging you on your path and refining your skills. These are good questions, and you're on the right path. Blessings to you. We'll be back here next week with another video.